All right, pure possibility. That's what you are, right? So what's it looking like for you? What's your life looking like? What's the world looking like? Because it's all possibility, infinite possibility. It's up to you to shape it by the power of your mind, your heart, your soul, into what you truly desire. The problem is we have so much covering up what we really feel inside, what we really feel in our hearts, what we really truly desire, that connection and expression of the God within us. So it's going to take a little bit of healing, perhaps. Maybe a little practice. Maybe a little celebration of connection. Getting out of our own little drama and seeing that we have so much more available to us inside. We're going to talk about today the Christ within us, because we like to look at everything in the spiritual realm as from the perspective of, what does that mean for me? How does that include me? Because if I'm just focused on what's out there, I will never attain what I'm looking for. I'll always be worshiping. I'll be down on my knees, or I'll be idolizing some image in my mind of God. And God's not an image, except as you, made in the image and the likeness of God. You can't put spirit into an image, except as you. So isn't that amazing? It seems like a paradox, doesn't it? But guess what? You are the evidence of God in this world. Or you're not, or you're doing something else. So are you tired of that something else? I was. Believe me, I was just tired of it. If you're tired of this place, if you're tired of this world, if you're tired of the conflict, of the division, of the sickness, sadness, and death, and the wars, or imminent wars, or whatever's going on, if you're tired of all that, you're in the right place. You are. You're in the right place. Because I'm going to offer an alternative that has nothing to do with the outward picture, but has to do with the inward person. Because the outward picture is always going to be a reflection of the inward person. Always. So if you look at the world and you don't like it, that's what's going on inside all of your friends and neighbors and other people around the world. So I'm offering an alternative that's actually already there within you. The presence of God. The presence and the power of the infinite source of love and life. That's in you. That's what you are. Oh my goodness, and that's what I want to see. That's what I want to feel and experience on a daily basis. So guess what I'm going to have to do? If I want to feel and experience that on a daily basis, I have to focus my mind on that. I have to focus my thoughts on that. I have to study that. I have to look at what that is. I have to look for that divine presence in everything. What are you looking for now? How are you judging your world, the people in your world? What is the framework for your understanding of who you are and who everyone else is? So when we're looking at the truth of who we are, there must be a recognition of spirit as the foundation of our being. Let's start there. Does that sound good? Let's start right there. Spirit is the foundation of my being. So if worship's okay with me, I don't care. If you want to worship God, you're going to have to worship God in spirit and in truth, because God is spirit. And that's biblical. So stop worshiping your image and start worshiping in spirit and in truth. Oh my goodness. Not as a separate human being that has all these problems, and I only think about this thing called spirit or God when I'm in trouble. No, to worship actually means to identify with, to live as. I'm going to live as God. Oh my God, what is he saying? I'm going to live as God. I'm going to live from the Christ within me. I'm getting way into it already. It's just I'm so excited that that's a possibility. If there's pure possibility, and I'm in a realm of infinite possibility, why not choose that one? I'm going to choose that one. You can't do that. Yes, I can. I can choose anything I want within my own mind. And guess what? I found it to be true. I found it through the scientific exploration with Einstein. Thank you, Bruce.
He's a spiritual guy.
He's a very spiritual guy. He said that we're in a prison of our own mind from the hallucination of our focus, of what we're focused on. And how we escape from that prison is to widen our circle of compassion. That's our scientist, probably the most intelligent one I've ever read or seen or heard. Widen our circle of compassion to include all people and all of nature. We're going to have an Earth Care meeting after the service, aren't we? We're including all of nature in our circle of compassion or recognition of the light in nature. Because we are nature. How did we ever separate ourselves from nature? It's what we are. It's never mind. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that all the month of April. How about I've got I've got a divine appointment with all of you, and Martha's gonna, hold us to it. April is Earth Care Month, and we're going to celebrate God and nature all the month of April. But today, what I want to celebrate is Christ within us. Christ in you. That's what we're celebrating. We're so much more than what we're reflecting on the outside. And yet we're letting what we see on the outside determine what we believe about ourselves and each other. But we're so much more than that. What I'd like is that we can make this turnaround. I found it to be the most valuable thing, literally, in all my years of being on earth, is this one action that I've taken, this one spiritual practice. It's very practical to turn my attention around, to focus on what's going on inside, not what's happening out there. What's happening within me? Focus on it and nurture it. Come into the presence. Nurture that presence within me. And watch everything in your world change. You'll be happier than you've ever been in your whole life. You'll have relationships that work 100% of the time. You will not be able to engage in conflict and judgment any longer. You will no longer want to be better than someone else. You will no longer wish to win the fight and win the battle. But you will be the presence of the living God, bringing peace and happiness and joy everywhere you go. That sounds like fun to me. That sounds like where the party's happening. Really, it truly does. The light within us is the place where we join as one in spirit, in God, as spiritual beings, the spiritual beings that we truly are. The Christ within us is brought into manifestation in our life, in this world, by relinquishing all the value that we gave to the separate self, to the ego, and dedicating all the focus of our minds on the truth of who we are. Wow, doesn't that feel good? I know some of you who are doing it, who've been doing it a long time. And you see how the energy of that person is. When you come around a person who's truly peaceful, truly, truly happy, peaceful, prosperous, abundant, and free, it doesn't complain about life. We used to have this great practice when the first practice of our prosperity class was don't complain for 21 days. Most of us didn't last 21 minutes. So if you can't so say you made it 2 or 3 days and you find yourself complaining again, go back and start over. Because it takes 21 days of repeating a lesson to yourself for you to learn it truly and ingrain it into your brain and into the cells of your body. So how is that going to help me get prosperous and abundant? I'm not going to be blocking the blessings by complaining. Every time I complain about something, I am shutting out the blessings that are pouring down upon me right now from all sides and all areas. I'm just not seeing it. Because what am I focused on? I'm focused on my complaint. So, if we focus all of our attention of our mind on the truth of who we are, we'll always be grateful. We will have nothing to complain about again. And not that I don't slip into it, but when I do, I go, oh my goodness, I've fallen back into that story. So why am I complaining about this? Usually comes down to what? Fear. I'm afraid my world is going to fall apart if there's dishes in the sink. The world just ended, man. That guy driving slow in front of me made me late to the appointment that I'm a half an hour early for already. I've got nowhere to go. I'm just going home and somebody's in front of me. If I find myself complaining about that, what is that? Why am I doing that? So you go within. You ask yourself, what is the purpose of that? Really rapidly, I go, there isn't one. Stop doing it. You're just hurting yourself. You can complain about the economy. You can complain about anything you want, but who are you hurting? Complaining never helped anyone, and it certainly won't help you. It won't help you to remember who you are, to receive the abundance and prosperity and the love that the universe is pouring out to you right now. The whole universe is yours, and it is flooding into you constantly. And all that we do as human beings is, no, I don't want that. I'm afraid of this. And we keep it away. We keep our good away from us because we prefer this little story we've been telling. So I want to tell you another story today. I want to tell you the story of the Christ within you and the glory with which you were created and the glory with which is being manifest in this world through you. I just love it. I look at some of you guys, I feel that energy just extending from you in such amazing frequency. It's heartwarming. And I want everyone to feel that. It was said that Charles Fillmore's favorite scripture was this one. He's the co-founder of Unity along with his wife Myrtle. His favorite scripture was, Christ in you is the hope of glory. That's simple. Christ in you is the hope of glory for everyone. So let's take a look at what is Christ and what is glory. What is this thing we call Christ? It's a principle, not a personality. You think that Yeshua was born with the last name Christ? No, Yeshua's Joshua, by the way. And then, through translating the name, we came up with Jesus. But his name was Yeshua. Great Aramaic name, Hebrew name. Wonderful. Little Yeshua. He found out who he was. And so he took on the principle of the Christ. He embodied the principles of Christ. Christ is a principle, not a personality. It's the energy of pure divine light at the center of our being. Christ is the incarnating principle of the God-man. And I want to read now from Charles Fillmore, The Revealing Word. And those of you who bought the ones from the back table there, you can find all this stuff right in The Revealing Word. Christ is the incarnating principle of the God-man, the perfect word or idea of God, which unfolds into the true man. It's unfolding. It's manifesting. In your spiritual growth, it's unfolding. So let yourself unfold. You're perfect just as you are, just where you are. Let it unfold in you. For it is unfolding into the true man or true person, and is blessed with eternal life and measuring up to the divine standard, thus fulfilling the law of righteousness. I like to translate the word righteous to right use. The right use of divine principle. When I'm using divine law in the right way for the unfoldment of my spiritual being. Otherwise, I'm not using it at all. I'm just denying it. So Christ is the divine man. Jesus, or Yeshua as I like to call him, is the name that represents an individual, not the only individual, an individual expression of the Christ idea. Christ existed long before Jesus. It was the Christ mind in Jesus, or Yeshua, that exclaimed, "And now, Father, glorify me with thine own self, with the glory which I had with thee before the world was." Before the world was. He said this in his final prayer in John 17. "And now glorify me with thine own self," God's self, "with the glory or the light of man, the manifesting light of my true nature, the nature of eternal love." That's the glory. Glorify me with your own self, with the self of God. You guys can do that too. I'm dedicated to doing that. And I'm asking each and every day that that's what be manifest in this personality. Christ is the principle. And I need to allow the principle to come first. The personality will always follow. Spirit first and the body will follow. The person will follow. So let's read one more thing here. This is great stuff. Christ abides in each person as his potential perfection. So it's already in you and you're already perfect. Just try to remember that. I'm already perfect as God created me. But it's unfolding. Jesus the Christ was the embodiment of all divine ideas that exist eternally in the mind of being as the only begotten Son. The Messiah, or the Anointed One, is the living principle working in man. The Christ is what? The visible manifestation of the I am. That's the best definition I could possibly offer you. So when you want to know what Christ is, it's the visible manifestation of the I am. We talked about I am, right? 2 weeks ago we had a great message about that. So he also goes on to say that the Son of God, or the child of God, is the spiritual nucleus within each person. So at the center of your being is nothing but light, nothing but God, nothing but perfection. And we're able to manifest that as we focus our mind on it. We're able to manifest that perfection. I love it. It says Christ is the first coming of the dawning in the mind that spiritual man is the real Son of God. So we're looking at spiritual beingness rather than ego. We're following the Christ within us, or the light within us, or that spiritual intuition. It's in every one of us. It doesn't matter what you call it. The words don't matter at all. What matters is you follow that energy of love. God is love and only love. That's what we say. And I truly believe that. It can't be two things. You can't be two things simultaneously. So it comes down to this, that we are making a decision of how we want to show up and who we want to be in the world. Are we going to be love and only love? Or are we going to try to represent two different things? Because there cannot be anything else. That's why we sing that song, There Is Only Love. It's a great, great song. So the Christ in you is the true light, which guides every person coming into the world, everyone who has ever been or who will ever be. Isn't that an amazing thing? Just be there, and you will guide every person, everyone around you. The wonderful thing is you get to experience it for yourself. You're the first one to experience this amazing principle that is within you. So the next thing I want to look at is, what is this word glory? So according to Charles Fillmore, glory is the realization of divine unity. Divine unity. So you're not alone. The Christ in you blends and merges with what? The mind of God. So the mind of man, the mind of human being, blends with the mind of God. You blend and understand that your mind is universal mind. Everything else that was going on in there is it's not real. It's chatter. It's just going on. You're giving your commentary on the images that are put in front of you. None of it matters. It's not real. You want to make it real. The ego wants to tell you that's what's going on. No, the truth of you is only love is going on, only peace is going on, and only the presence of God is going on. And all that stuff, it may come and go within your experience of the outer world. But that's not what's true. Go within. Find out what's true, what's really true for you. And you give that to the world. Because if you're not, then you're creating that problem. And I hate to say it, nobody wants to be responsible for the world they see. Right? It's the last thing you want to hear. That's why you're going to run out the door and never come back. But I'll tell you, if you do come back, you're going to hear the next week that you're perfect as God created you. And you seem to be saying the same thing every week. Yes, I am. You're a divine being. You're magnificent. You're wonderful. And the only reason you're not experiencing that is your mind isn't focused on it. Nobody told you how beautiful you are. I'm telling you, you're absolutely beautiful and perfect. You're absolutely perfect. No matter who you think you are, what you think you've done or has been done to you, this is a new moment. You can get in touch with your perfection. You can get in touch with that. Just silently share it with everyone you meet. It's okay to say, you know what? I'm not going to talk to you about what's going on out there. Let's talk about what's going on in here. Let's spend some time together in the presence of God, in the presence of Spirit, in the presence of love. Again, it doesn't matter what you call it, the God of your understanding. But what matters is that we spend some time there. What matters is that's how we relate to each other. It's an amazing thing, and it's an entirely different way of thinking than you're used to. Because what are we used to? We're used to judging what's going on out there, right? And then, well, I'm over here in this part of the story, and then you're over there in that part of the story. But what about the story of Spirit? What about the story of creation, where we're all one? Oh, you don't like that either, that oneness thing, do you? You got to have an enemy. You got to win the battle. No, we're all one. You are my brother. You are my sister. I absolutely love you. You don't know me. That's okay. I still love you. Totally and completely. How could you? Yes, I know. You know what? I know who you really are. That's how I can love you. So, why is this stuff so important anyway? Blending with the mind of God. Who can do that? The blending of your mind with God's mind. That's glory. That's the manifestation of eternal love in this world. So, I'll tell you who can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And it's easier than you think. I've got some action steps that we can do this week. How about that? Some action steps for revealing the Christ in you. So Lily was making the slides last night. And she goes, oh, I like this one. The action steps for revealing the Christ in you. Reveal Christ now. Free of charge. She always kids me. I sound like an advertisement sometimes. But these are true steps that we can take. The first one that I think is the most important is to acknowledge the presence of the Christ in you. Just acknowledge it. It's there. It's in me. God is in me. Okay? It's there. For so long we've been taught that it's not there. That we're separate from God. No, the presence of God is in me. So that light of eternal life, which I call the Christ, the vibration of the true divine man, is in me. There it is. It's in me. It's not out there. I'm not going chasing it anymore. I'm not going around looking for it out there. It's in here. It's in me. Acknowledge it fully. That's where it is. You found God. You found what you were looking for. You don't have to do anything with it. Just acknowledge that that's where it is. Christ is within me. Just acknowledge it. Let everything else go. That's all we need to do. That's the first step. When we feel it, when we know it's there, what are we going to do? We're going to listen to it. Instead of listening to the voice for the ego, we're going to listen to the voice for God within us. It's that spiritual intuition. Every one of you has experienced it at one time or another. You may use guides or angels or other things, any spiritual teaching you want to inspire the memory of it. But that voice is your own true voice. It's within you. It's the voice for God that speaks to you all through the day. Listen to it, is all I'm trying to say. Stop listening to your ego. You know the ego. You know what it says. You know what it's saying to you. It's judging that other person. It's judging you mostly. It's telling you why you should be afraid and why you should be angry and why you should be upset. Don't listen to it. Listen to the voice for God. That's the second step. And I know Dolores is going to write this down and she's going to do it. She surprises me. She showed me a screenshot of one of these slides, and she was actually doing it. It was 4 steps to spiritual enlightenment. And how has your life changed since then? A lot. A lot. And your life will change too if you just practice these steps. There's only 3 of them. Acknowledge the presence. You got to get by yourself for a moment. Maybe it's in the morning. Maybe it's with a cup of tea. Sit down at night. Turn off the darn TV, please. Turn off your phone. Shut off the computer, the iPad. Maybe cancel your subscription to Comcast. I don't know. Some of you might have to get drastic with this. But get by yourself and acknowledge the presence of Christ within you. A good place to do it is down at the beach, walking in nature, out in the forest, walking in the Spirit. Good place to do it is out in nature. Get alone and acknowledge the presence of Christ within you. Listen to that voice now every day. Claim your blessing and say, what would you have me do today? Listen to the voice guide you throughout your day and see what happens. Just practice it for 21 days. Instead of complaining, say, what would you have me do? Listen to Spirit. Listen to Spirit guide you instead of your own voice, the voice of the ego. You'll be amazed. You will be amazed at what happens. You will have miracle after miracle to tell about. Now the third one is pretty easy. Follow that guidance of the Christ within. So after you listen, you have to follow. It becomes a way of life. And you know it. I love you guys so much because when it's your way of life, you're vibrating with a peacefulness and a purpose that is beyond description and it's beyond definition. And I want you to have that peace. I do. I want you to have that peace in your heart and that purpose in your life. Because you're going to find that it was all worth it. I came here for a purpose. I came here for a reason. And you know, it was all worth it. I am fulfilling my purpose. I'm a divine being. I'm radiating love into the world. That's what I'm doing. Now your I am statements are going to match up. What you say and what you do are going to match up. And that's the definition of peace. That's the definition of truth. It's when what you think, what you say, and what you do is all in alignment. And when it's in alignment with the truth of who you are, wow. Peace equals power, my friends. Bring that peace into your life. Follow the direction, the guidance that voice is giving you. Now, why do you think this is so important to do these things? Do you think a person who's in touch with the Christ within them could judge another because of the color of their skin? Do you think a person who's in touch with the Christ within them could possibly pick up a gun and go to the mall and kill some brothers and sisters at the mall or at the school? Do you think a person who's in touch with the Christ within them could possibly do those things? Do you think a person in touch with the Christ within them could possibly abuse children? Do you think a person who's in touch with the Christ within them could abuse their spouse? I don't think so. Take any of the problems experienced by humankind, any and all of the problems experienced by humankind, and without exception, they are caused by our false sense of separation from one another. And the fact that we don't feel the presence of the Christ within us. But without exception, all those problems are resolved and dissolved by the same thing, the manifestation of that Christ that is within us, bringing forth the glory, the realization of our divine unity with God. That's how they're solved. That's how every problem is solved. You're looking for all kinds of other solutions. They're not there. It's not political or economical or intellectual or sociological or psychology. It's not any of that stuff. Our only problem is our false sense of separation from one another and from God. That creates all the others. And we have the solution. You guys, the Christ within you is the solution. The light within you, whatever you want to call it, the divine within you, manifest in this world. That's the solution. So take these steps with me this week. Okay? There's only 3 of them. Acknowledge the Christ in you, listen to it, and follow it. Sound good? All right, let's go. I love you.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass., and visit us online at unityoncapecod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.